All right, let's dive into the brilliant, beautiful, and, let's be honest, sometimes baffling world of Gabriel Garcia Marquez's masterpiece, 100 Years of Solitude. If you've ever marveled at its magic, but also felt just a little bit lost, well, you've come to the right place.
You are definitely not alone if you've ever felt lost in the labyrinth of Macondo. So many readers feel that way. You're swept up in this incredible story, but at the same time, you're tangled in a web of repeating names, repeating events. Everything seems to go in circles. So, how do we make sense of this beautiful confusion?
Well, the secret to the book's unique magic actually comes from a really personal place for the author. Garcia Marquez said he based his whole storytelling style on his grandmother. Get this, she could tell him about the most insane, fantastical, or even horrifying things with a totally straight face, which somehow made it all feel completely real. That calm, matter-of-fact tone, that's the engine driving this entire novel. So that unique tone is the first key. But the second is this central paradox that holds the whole epic story together. It's a contradiction that sits right at the very heart of the Buendia family, and it's this idea of a collective solitude. Here's how it works. If you look at any single member of the Buendia family, their life seems kind of like a meaningless fragment, totally defined by their own isolation. But if you zoom out and look at the family as a whole, all those lonely little pieces suddenly click together. They form one single coherent story, a shared history that spans a whole century. And here is the absolutely crucial point. Their individual solitude is the one thing they all have in common. It's their family trait. It's the mark that makes a Buendia a Buendia. So the very thing that isolates each one of them is also the thing that unites them all into one collective story. Wild, right? This tension, this pull between the individual and the group, it also shows up in the novel's really strange approach to time. In fact, it's almost like Macondo has two completely different clocks running at the same time, and they are not in sync. On one hand, you've got the clock of history. This is time as we know it, linear, moving forward. Macondo is founded. It goes through civil wars, the train arrives bringing industrialism, and eventually it falls into decay. These are all events that connect Macondo to the outside world, to the forward march of time. But then you've got the other clock, the internal clock of the Buendia family. And this one doesn't move forward at all. It just spins in a circle. All their big actions are defined by repetition and ultimately futility. Just think about it. Jose Arcadio Buendia's inventions are useless. The Colonel's 32 wars, he loses them all. Aureliano Segundo's life is just one endless party. And Amarantha is stuck weaving and unweaving her own shroud. It's a cycle of going absolutely nowhere. So this clash between the linear clock of history and the family's circular clock, that's what creates that dizzying, disorienting feeling we talked about. It's why reading this book can sometimes feel like you're walking through a hall of mirrors. And the clearest example of this hall of mirrors effect is the repetition of the names. As the family matriarch, Ursula, eventually figures out, this is not random at all. A pattern starts to emerge. For instance, all the men named Jose Arcadio, they tend to be impulsive, physically huge, and enterprising, but they're always marked by a tragic sign. And the men named Aureliano, they're the complete opposite. They're withdrawn, they're intellectual, they're solitary, but they have this incredibly lucid way of seeing the world. These repeated names carry repeated fates, and that creates this powerful sense of déjà vu for us as we read. This becomes devastatingly clear to Ursula once she goes bland. She realizes the repetition isn't just in their big personalities, it's in their daily lives. The family is completely trapped in a loop, which just undermines any real sense of progress. Time isn't just passing, it feels like it's turning back on itself. So what do we have? A family bound together by solitude, trapped in a circle of repetition, all while history is marching on right outside their door. What's the point of it all? How does this strange circular structure actually deliver its powerful meaning? The answer lies in this really fascinating concept called narrative transference. Basically, it's the process by which a story gets passed on, especially the history of something that's gone forever, like a lost civilization or a family line that's ended. The entire novel is structured as one huge, grand act of this kind of transference. And here is the truly mind-bending part of the whole thing. For the Buendia story to be told as one single, complete narrative, the family line has to die out. As long as they're alive, their lives are just those meaningless, isolated fragments. But the moment the family goes extinct, Their 100 years of solitude can finally be seen and understood as one complete epic tale.
So in the end, there is only one person left to receive this story, the very last Aureliano. He's trapped in the house while the world literally ends outside, and he finally deciphers the parchments left by the gypsy Melquiades. He reads the entire history of his family and realizes he's reading his own fate in the very act of reading it.
And this is where the novel pulls off its final, most brilliant trick. It's the final act of narrative transference. By making that last Buendia a reader, the story is passed from the parchments to him, and then, in that instant, it's passed to us. The book ends, but the story of Macondo doesn't. It's been transferred into our imagination, giving this solitary family another chance, a new life, every single time we turn the page.